How everybody doing out there? Another episode from Crash Out Angels. How was everybody weekend? Hope everybody made it back home safe. I hope everybody made it to work Monday morning. You know, hope ain't nobody lose nobody. And we finna unpack the weekend and what took place, right? So as y'all can see, I went to the sugar factory for the first time the other day, right? What was that, Friday night? Saturday, right? Saturday night. Didn't make it back in my house till about 1 something. Man, I've been eating a lot, you know, on my road to sobriety, not using heavy drugs. I just, you just see me smoke. Might, drink a little syrup a little bit, other than that, no alcohol, nothing. Hopefully one day I could be completely drug free or whatever. But yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to unpack today, stuff I want to talk about. So one of my goals, I'm trying to set goals every week, right? Hold on. I'm trying to set goals every week, right? And I'm trying to accomplish them, right? So, my goal for this week is this. Everybody can see this? I'm reading it, right? It says, State of Wisconsin pardon application, right? Now, so where would I start? Well, I got 5 years when I was 15, right? For armed robbery. I went to Ethan Allen School for Boys, which is in Wells, Wisconsin. The most you can get in Wisconsin as a juvenile before they waive you or without them waiving you is 3 to 5. 3 in, 2 out. It was a program called the Serious Juvenile Offender Program. So when I was 15, I caught my armed robbery. They sent me to Ethan Allen. I went in 03. I didn't get out till 05. I was returning back on sanctions, messing up, wasn't following the rules on the streets. I ended up going back. I went on a run, but I ended up getting caught in July of 06. And when I got caught, I had a new case. I got caught in the middle of a so-called home invasion / internal dwelling without owner's consent type of situation. So when I got caught in 06, they charged me with escape because I AWOL from the group home I was in. Basically just walk out the door. I don't see how that was escape. And then they charged me with home invasion, but that was dropped down to internal dwelling without owner's consent. So they sent me back to Wells. I was in Wells. I was in Ethan Allen School for Boys. I was serving juvenile time and adult time at the same time. I end up appealing. I end up appealing the home invasion. I got it. That's when I originally got it dropped down to internal dwelling without owner's consent. And the escape, I couldn't beat that. They prove, if they can prove that you supposed to be there and you wasn't, and you did nobody give you a permission to leave, then you're guilty. So for the escape, I got 6 months house correction. After 6 months, that convert to 4 months, with good time. And the home invasion, that was dropped down to internal dwelling without owner's consent. And I can't remember what was the sentence, but basically it was just, they wanted concurrent time, because when I got caught, I had to go back and serve my juvenile time. So basically they just wanted me to go, they wanted me to serve the rest of the juvenile time, and it was like 2.5 years. And they ran my adult time concurrent with it. So when I went in 06, I didn't get out until 08, like May 08. I'm on house arrest in my neighborhood, man, one of the best summers of my life. Summer 08, right? But after that, now, at that point I'm older, I'm growing into my looks. I had spent so much time in jail. I never went to a graduation. I never went to a prom. I finished school though. I got my high school diploma. I got my HSED. Let me rephrase that. I got some college education. But so when I got out in 08, I kept going back, for sanctions. I got revocated down the line, right? So in 2008, October, my juvenile sentence was over. The 5 years, 3 in, 2 out. So that ran from '03 to 2008. So that was over. So when that was over, my adult time, continued. So I had to see an adult PO and a juvenile PO when I first got out. So when the juvenile probation expired, now it's my adult probation. And they didn't have me on house arrest or nothing, but I kept dropping dirty. Alcohol was never my drug of choice. Me growing up, it was a lot of people that drunk around me, a lot of alcoholics, and when an alcoholic all up on you and be, you smell it, it's coming out their pores, I wasn't feeling it. And then, my mom's ex-boyfriend, he taught me a real good lesson when I was probably about 13, 14, right? I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna get to that story too, but yeah. So in '08, my adult probation, started. I kept going back and forth, dropping dirty, sanctions. I ended up getting revocated, but I did my time at MSDF. It was only like 8 months, 10 months. I was finally able to get off probation. My probation ended up getting extended for a year one time. So I ended up getting off probation in 2013, but I would have got off in 2012 if I wouldn't have messed up. But I got off in 2013. I ain't been on probation since. I've been in a little trouble here and there. When I lived in Phoenix, some years ago, I got in some trouble out there, mainly because of my drug use. Man, when I think about it, every time I got in trouble, since being older, like little shit here and there, it's been because of my toxic drug use, right? Wasn't getting me nowhere. And when I was younger, I used to always see a lot of older people in jail. I used to be like, man, they should be at home, enjoying their grandkids, living their life, just relaxing. I used to say, when I'm older, man, that ain't gonna be me. And I'm 37, and I ain't, that ain't me. I don't even do the same stuff I used to do. And, that's what life about, growth. You shouldn't be still doing the same stuff you was doing in your teens or doing the same stuff in your 20s, right? The fun is over. The game is, the fun is over. You had your fun, right? I wish I could go back to when I was a kid. I wish I would have enjoyed myself then and lived, but I didn't. I thought I was grown. A lot of the people that I was running behind and following were a little bit older. Man. So where we at right now is this, right? I wanna try to, get a partner and kind of clean my record up, because like I said, I've been a felon since 15, even though y'all said the juvenile records is sealed, but it's called you adjudicated felon. That means you're still a felon, right? So, man, if I could do it over, man, I would have because I wanted to go to the Army. I went to the Army. I didn't have my CCW so I could protect my, my family the right way, not the legal way. I just would have did stuff differently. And, speaking of guns, and this page gonna be about a lot of stuff, a lot of different stuff. But speaking of guns, everybody that own a gun or have a gun in the house around kids, this is what you should have right here. It's a gun lock, right? So, I don't know how to use it, but you get the key. Oh, there we go. Okay, I was just pulling the wrong end, but yeah, you decock it. You put this in. I ain't got a gun right now to show, and I ain't gonna show it. But yeah, this is a gun like this will save and protect so many lives, man. These kids that's getting a hold of these guns, man, and shooting themselves or shooting somebody else. You got kids out here that's getting the mom's gun that's legally hers and shooting other people with it. Like, man. But and these free. These don't cost you nothing. So really, it costs you nothing to be safe. It costs you nothing to protect your family. It costs you nothing to protect your kids when you ain't there, right? So, you know, I think anybody that own a gun most definitely should have one of these, right? And it works. But yeah, I'm a felon, so I don't, you know, I can't own guns legally. As you can see, I don't own no gun. But yeah, this page is gonna be about a lot of different stuff, right? At some point, I want to do interviews. Right now, I'm in the middle of getting my whole little situation put up, you know, as far as like where I'm gonna record at, you know, being in my own space, you know, and y'all, you know, throughout time, y'all gonna see a lot of stuff change. Y'all gonna see me change. Y'all gonna see a lot of stuff change, right? And you know, just bear with me. You know, walk with me. I need advice. I'm trying to get away from toxic situations right now. I'm trying to get away from situations that leads me into the old way of thinking, or even relapsing. I'm trying to change that, right? Altogether, and even if it hurt me, you know, even if it hurt me to stop myself from being around certain people or to not deal with certain people, then I mean, you know, it is what it is. My sanity comes first. My sanity is worth more than that. I ain't gonna let nobody, you know, I ain't gonna let nobody make me relapse or make me feel some type of way, you know, because in the past, you know, I would justify my drug use, you know, if I felt some type of way, you know, let me go, man, go get high, right? And that's what, you know, that was a pattern, right? That's what brought me down. I'm trying to change the way I think, you know. Even triggers, you know, people that we've been around for years, family, friends, loved ones, you know, whether it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, you could have been around them for years. And you could be using drugs and ignoring a lot of stuff, right? And when you get clean, a lot of stuff opens up, right? Open your eyes and you're like, wow, like I've been ignoring that. I've been ignoring that. Or whether it's a trigger, you know, whether it's a trigger to lead you back into arguing or using just anything negative, anybody that don't mean you no good, like I have to walk away from, right? I just have to. I have to do things different. I have to. The old way I was doing it wasn't working. I have to do stuff different. And I say this all the time, right? If somebody, if they can't respect you being happy, like that's how somebody gonna tell you that you don't have the right to be happy, right? So if man, you know, it's just crazy some people mind frames, right? It just is, right? But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be happy. I know where I came from. I know what I overcome. I know where I'm going, right? And if you don't mean me no good, I gotta, and it's toxic. I gotta do away with you. I can't. I just can't. You know, if you're trying to grow, yeah, you know, I'm there all day. I'm a phone call away. A phone call. But if you're not, I don't know. I can't. Right now, I'm in a situation where, you know, my oldest daughter, Rihanna, she's 18. She's in the, her mom got her, you know, took her, so she's like kind of in the system. And y'all say, well, she's 18, how's she in the system? She was just released from a mental institution, so now she's was like a group home or a foster home or something. So, but now that I'm, you know, getting myself together, I'm, like I went to the court date the other day, but I'm making moves to get her now, you know, get custody of her legally, you know. And I've been trying to do that for a while, you know. My baby mama, they moved out of Milwaukee without my consent, you know, and I have custody of my daughter. But you know, it is what it is. You know, that happened then. You know, I can't do nothing about it. You know, all I can do, all I can try to do is, or at least like what matters is now, right? I'm trying to get her now. You know, I'm clean. You know, my daughter. You know, I can't even complain. You know, it happened. It happened. It's the past, right? It didn't happen with me. Um, Anytime my daughter was in my custody or my care, my daughter was happy. Some of y'all know my daughter. Um, you know, it was her mother that the problems happened. You know, when they moved out of town. Um, just I ain't even gonna go into it right now. I ain't, you know, that's a touchy situation with me, but you know, I'm glad my daughter's over 18. I'm glad she's 18 now, where I don't have to deal with the mother. You know, you know, I got kids, and I've never been on probation. You know, I got Avion 10. He'll be 11 December 1st. I got Mariah 11. Her birthday November 13th, so she'll be 12 this year. As y'all can see, Kyriel. You know, Kyriel's birthday March 21st. He just turned 16 last month. Ben, I have a newborn boy on the way. The baby was crazy, right? I'm gonna tell you how crazy, you know, things work. But the baby due date is my oldest daughter's birthday, September 17th. That's my daughter Rihanna's birthday, by a different woman, right? It's like, wow. And then I think about, you know, because Kyriel always wanted to, you know, he always wanted a motherfucker to have another baby, you know. And for him not to be here, right? Like, dang, this is all he used to always say to me, right? And for him not to be here, and, you know, his mom had mentioned to me, like, no, you know, he here. You know, Kyriel knew I was pregnant before we knew. Like, and then for it to turn out to be a boy, like, you know, and like I said, I believe in reincarnation. You know, I strongly believe in. I believe all of us was here before. You know, who knows, right? But I got a new leash on life. I've never been this drug free before, this clean, right? I don't see myself relapsing. I've never been a drinker. The story about that, I was like 13, 14, and my mom's ex-boyfriend, you know, my mom was at work, you know, and this was on the Sunday, you know, so he watching the football games. I'm watching them with him. I'm on the ground, he on the couch. You know, he'd be like, hey, go give me a beer. But before I go get his beer, he would give me his old beer can to throw in the garbage, right? But he would leave some in the can, right? And he'd be like, here, finish it. And you know, at the age, I'm thinking I'm grown, and you know, he was wrong for that. You know, no parent should have not happened, right? No adult, no parent should be telling no child, hey, yeah, you want to finish it, or saying go get me a beer. That's like me telling my son, like, oh, go roll this blunt. Like, hell no, right? But I did it, right? I drank it. He did that about 4 times, right? He like, come on, let's go, right? He was about to go to his sister's house, right? I get in the car with him. Listen, I was asleep before we made it to his sister's house, the destination. I was asleep. I woke up. It's dark. I'm in the car by myself. I said, I knew exactly where I was at, but it didn't dawn on me. I'm like, how I end up here? I go to the house, you know, I walk to his sister's house, you know, get out the car, walk in there. He like, yeah, you just woke up, yeah, taught you a lesson, huh? And I had a bad headache, banging headache, boom, boom, boom. That's when I said I'll never drink beer, right? I've never drunk beer since, right? Now I've drunk I've drunk liquor, like when I was on probation, when I got out of jail in '08, and I couldn't smoke. Like I drink Patron, you know, my guys put me on a little mixture. Yeah, go to the liquor store, you know, go get the small bottle of Patron, small bottle of pineapple juice, and mix it together. Man, listen, nigga hit the block with that, with a cup of that, and it's a personal too. Oh yeah, it's going down, right? But so I was never like a big drinker, you know. If I go out to the club, I'm drinking Brown, Hennessy, you know. And you know, I could always handle my liquor, but the thing was, when I drink, like, I get to spinning. It's like everywhere I lay, I'm spinning. I can only find one way to lay where I'm not. But until I find that position, I'm asking God, God, please let me stop spending. Please let me stop spending. I ain't gonna drink no more. I used to always promise him that, right? Man, go to sleep, wake, I ain't drinking no more. And it got to the point where now, 2025, I only drink. For me to drink, it got to be an occasion, right? New Year's, birthday, holidays, stuff like that. And still, I probably won't drink, right? I drink more cough syrup, more promethazine than anything, you know. And for anybody, listen, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, oh, you drink green, oh, you this, you that. I don't want to hear it, right? Listen, straight promethazine put you to sleep. Green, that puts you to sleep. You wouldn't have the feeling that you have off of promethazine with codeine, purple and red, if promethazine wasn't in there. You get what I'm saying? What do you think codeine does? Okay. And what do you think promethazine does? I'll wait. Y'all better do y'all math, man. It's 7% alcohol in straight promethazine. I mean, I don't, listen. That gets me, man, that'll get you there. I ain't trying to hear nothing. And all y'all drinking purple and red and y'all paying 100, 150 a line. Come on, man. Come on, man. I can get a pint. I can get a pint for that. I get a pint of green for that price. I drink it all. You know, not at all. I don't drink promethazine DM. I don't drink that. That's that yellow. That's that yellow. It's yellow and it tastes like medicine. Not Tussinex. Not that tuss. Not that thick snot. That yellow snot. Pineapple flavor. Yeah. I did that. I did all that. 2014, 2015, 2016. I was the drink god. You know what I'm saying? I was selling nigga foes of purple and red, you know, before green wasn't even out there like that. But I was going to the doctor getting a pint of green, right? And I ended up crossing over. You know, it started getting more harder to get in the doctors, right? It started to get more hard to get. Then the person who I was getting the drink through, she ended up getting pregnant, right? So of course they're not finna prescribe that till you getting pregnant, you know. And then by the time she had the baby, after that, you know, motherfuckers getting, you know, scripts of perks type, you know. So motherfuckers graduating, you know. But yeah, man, I came a long way. I ended up messing. What's crazy, right? I ended up getting a stomach condition from drinking too much promethazine with codeine. You know, I hated drinking. I hated mixing my shit with a soda. This back in Jolly Rancher days. You know, you'll pour a full of red or purple in something, put some Jolly Ranchers in there. That was around that time. I got tired of drinking that, right? And having to piss every 10 minutes, right? Cause we drinking a lot. Having to piss, always gotta piss, right? I'm like, man, fuck that. I start drinking out the cough syrup bottle, right? I'm like, fuck it. So I start drinking it straight. Man, listen, you ain't supposed to do that. You not. It tell you not supposed to do that, right? That shit fucked my stomach lining up, right? One day I woke up, I couldn't even stand up straight. It felt like if I stand up straight, my body was gonna break. I was hunched over. Man, I went to the hospital, man. They did a test on me. Man, drinking that lean, my body it was missing so much stuff that I was supposed to have in my body, nutrients and stuff. Man, that syrup messed me up. I was in the hospital for like a week. I had a colonoscopy, you know, the thing they stick the camera in you, you be asleep now. You know, I was asleep, you know. They gave me this jug of, imagine lemonade, right? But instead of making it with sugar, picture is made with salt. They gave me a gallon of that. Salt, lemonade. They gave me a gallon. It was crazy, right? The first sip. No, not the first sip for me, but somebody wanted to taste it, right? I ain't gonna say their name, but they wanted to taste it. So they let it touch their tongue, like, dude, they had the runs for 5 hours. That's how strong that shit is. Man, so I had to drink the whole gallon, clean out my system. By the time I drunk all of that whole gallon, and I'm going to the bathroom, listen, I'm doing number two, and it's that when I get up, it's clear. I'm looking in the toilet, it's clear. But I just did number two. What the? I'm like, oh yeah, it's wild, right? So they do that to clean your system out for the operation. You know, they put me to sleep. You know, they talking to you, and you just doze off. I wake up and shit. I'm like, I wake up, it's shit all on the side. You know, I guess I woke up too soon, but you know, I got cleaned up ASAP. You know, they looked in my stomach. They looked in my stomach. The results, they said I got an excessive amount of acid in my stomach right now. Everybody, your body got natural stomach acid in there. That's natural. But they said I had an excessive amount of stomach acid, right? That's when I ended up, I ended up developing, I got, dang, I can't even think of it right now. But I ended up developing a stomach condition or whatever. And it's basically, you know, I was skinny for a while. I was small for a while, right? I would get full off of one bite. I take one bite and I couldn't, it'd feel like I'm full. And before I ate, I'd be hungry. And, you know, I'm like, man, you know, messing with that cough syrup, drinking that promethazine with codeine, drinking that for so long. Drinking it for so long, that shit fucked my stomach up, right? Oh, acid reflux. I got acid reflux and I got gastroparesis. I think that's what it's called. Don't quote me now. I know how y'all like doing that. Don't quote me, right? Hey, I'm only human, but I think it's gastroparesis. And I wasn't even following the stuff that I was supposed to be doing for that, right? Like, you know, they give you a certain diet that you're supposed to follow, and I couldn't even do that, right? But man, all that shit bad for you, man. When when you young and you around the wrong people, and you know you think it's cool to be high. You know, we was taking Xans, and you know we thought it was cool to be high. Now, and I look back and I look at all the people that I done lost due to them drugs, whether it was a car accident, whether they made a bad decision high off of drugs, whether you know life-changing decisions was made off the drugs, or you know somebody got killed. You know, it was just bad. When you look back, it wasn't worth it. And man, I got an arm. You see that? I got this tattoo when I got on in '08, right? This a gin bottle pouring out, right? My people that's dead, all my guys that's dead, right? Freaky Phil, Dante, Cass, Jock, Fresh, right? This was then, right? That was then. I done lost so many more people, man. I got my guy Low right here. And I got survivor's guilt from with him, you know. I believe I told the story, you know, a few days ago about, you know, I dropped him off, you know, I dropped him off so I could get in a car with somebody else. And, you know, my guy ended up getting killed, you know. And I lost a lot of good people, man. But you know what? So have you. Everybody, right? Everybody. I don't just look at myself, man. Everybody got a story to tell, man. And that's why, like on this platform, like man, I'm gonna be doing interviews, right? I'm gonna be doing one-on-one interviews with people, whether they a rapper, whether it's a woman that always that kept a good job, taking care of her kids, whether it's an interview with somebody that dealt with grief, somebody that lost a child. I'm doing it all. I'm doing it all. If you think you got a story to tell, man, inbox me, comment, and we'll most definitely touch bases and see, but this platform gonna be about everything, man. Everything. It ain't no limit. Food, entertainment, hip hop, man, it's crazy, right? But yeah, man, we're gonna talk about a lot, man. We're gonna talk about how I dealt with my grief. We're gonna talk about how other people deal with their grief, how drugs can play a part in you dealing with your grief. Man, because it's hard. It ain't that shit ain't easy, man. That shit ain't easy at all, man. But and sometimes sometimes you might hear a little music being played in the back, right? Sometimes before I get in there, right? Before I start talking, I might give y'all a second to hear some music. You might want to hear what I've been listening